Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We have a very special video in store for you guys today, a very great podcast. We're in the home of Dr. Brooke Goldner and her amazing husband, Thomas Tadlock. These two are so accomplished, just changing the world, living their best life, inspiring everyone through hyper-nourishment, health, fitness, best-selling authors. I could go on and on for an hour about their incredible accomplishments. And Dr. Brooke Goldner reversed her lupus through nutrition and essentially just helps the world do the same thing, reverse problems they're dealing with through nutrition. So we need so much more of this. The world is just falling apart. Kids are getting cancer at my kids' schools these days. It's just crazy. So we have so much to talk about. We're going to learn so much about Thomas as well. You guys asked for him in the last one. So let's hop into it. How are you both?
Doing great. Thanks.
Good. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, thanks for having me in your home. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. So your story is so beautiful. I think we should start with that because it's so connected. And for people who don't know you, they can connect more. And how did everything start with the lupus and how you met and reversing the lupus?
Oh, goodness. So lupus, I was diagnosed at 16, and it all started with migraines and then rashes, arthritis. And so by the time I actually got diagnosed at the hospital, I was already also in stage 4 kidney failure. So it was just, it was a horrific experience going from thinking I have some aches and pains to when I got told by the nephrologist about the kidney failure, he said that at best I had 6 months to live. That my best hope was dialysis.
Stop.
Yes, unless I was willing to try an experimental treatment, which, nobody wants to be an experiment by their doctor, but 6 months to live was pretty convincing. And so I was put on 7 different pills a day, hormone suppression to stop puberty, high-dose steroids, and then chemotherapy on top of that, all trying to stop my immune system from attacking my body, which is what happens when you have lupus. So the good news is it worked. It was very difficult. Dealing with all that medication and finishing high school, which I did. And I still graduated in the top 10 of my class. I got a scholarship to my first choice at college, but it was constant navigation of like, okay, so I have chemotherapy this day, but I have an exam on this day. So how am I going to get my studying in? Mm-hmm. And it was great because the part that was great was that my family really taught me about how to think about the struggles that we face, right? And it's a lesson that I've kept with me forever to say, okay, lupus is not who you are. It's something you have to deal with. And none of us get to choose what we deal with, but we choose how we deal with it. So you are going to do great things. You have a future. Take your pills and go be that thing you want to be. And also about focusing on gratitude. Like my family comes from Holocaust survivors. So my grandmother at 16 was in a camp. So for me, being at 16 with lupus, but home with my family, going to school, having great doctors, I was still lucky. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that's carried me through my whole life is that even when I face terrible things, I have to remember I'm still lucky and that that's not who I am. That's just something I have to deal with and go pursue my joy. And so that's what I've always done. And so most people never even knew I was sick because I've always been authentically joyful and grateful. But that was my life. And so I went to college, but I took medicine for joint pain. I took medicine for migraines, but I was able to finish college. Then I went to medical school, which, they tell you when you're sick, make sure that you avoid sunlight, avoid stress, and always get enough sleep. Mm-hmm. Well, medical students don't see the sun, so that's fine because I was always working. Right. But stress and sleep was not a thing. And I got sick. I relapsed, not with my kidneys, but instead I started having blood clots going into my brain. So I was getting double vision, and I collapsed in one of the clinics one day.
Scary.
Yes. Yeah, and lupus is scary. So lupus can attack any part of your body. At this point, now being a medical student, I really understood what I had. See, this predates, like when I was young, we didn't have the internet. There was no Googling your diagnosis. And I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad I just did what my doctors told me. Take this medicine, you'll be fine. Okay. I just did what I had to do. Mm-hmm. By the time I was a medical student, I knew exactly what I had. So it was scary knowing that, how serious my disease was. And then my doctors were pretty straightforward with me too. They're like, because of the kidney issues and the mini strokes that you're having, the disease is accelerating. There's a good chance that you're going to become disabled probably by your 40s. Never have children because between the blood clots and the kidney issues, you wouldn't survive it. So it was kind of, it's a hard thing to face. And I definitely cried about it. I spent about two weeks of mourning. I let myself do that. And then went, you know what, but I'm still here. I'm still lucky. I thought of myself as a comeback kid. Some people would go, oh, bad things always happen to me. I always thought anything bad that happens, I always come back. And I'm going to come back again. So I had to inject myself with blood thinners, and that was supposed to be like for the rest of my life. And add that to the list of meds. And I was about to graduate medical school. And again, I felt lucky for that. And I thought that would be my life, was I can become a doctor who teaches other patients that you can thrive, you can be happy, and you can enjoy your life even with chronic disease. And I thought that might be the best I could do.
Yeah.
Until I met this guy.
Wow. What a story.
It's only the half of it.
No, I know. I know.
Yeah. So, you know, gosh, I picked this guy up.
I picked this guy up.
I did.
So I knew who she was.
You did?
Yeah.
Before we really first met and chatted, we actually did know each other because we went to the same college, went to the same university, and she happened to be in the same sorority as my girlfriend in college at the time.
I admired him from afar. He was very, very, well, he is very handsome. Yeah.
From afar.
And you guys are so loving even after 20 plus years. So we have to find out in this interview too, like your secrets and stuff. So sorry, carry on though.
Oh, wow. Well, have you ever heard of follow your heart?
Yeah.
You agree with that? You know, you should follow your heart no matter how scary it is or how uncertain it is. Yeah. So our love story is probably the biggest demonstration of my personal life that I've ever had that really exemplifies the meaning of that. It happens because Brooke and I, we connected, like we met each other out, and it was just, her and I had just an instant connection. We laughed, and I got to see how smart she was and how awesome she was. And like, just got to understand this is a person who just skips happily through life without a care in the world. And it's amazing. I didn't know anything about the disease or the illness, but it was a situation where we fell hard for each other very quickly. And it got to the point where in a few weeks we were like talking about marriage. And she said, okay, wait. This is great. This is wonderful. And I want this, but I have to let you know that I have this disease. And I said, what disease? What are you talking about? And she told me what lupus was. I didn't know what lupus was at the time. I'd never heard of it before. But in a summary she gave me, it was what she just told you. She basically said, look, I'm not going to be able to have your children. I'm going to get sick very rapidly in just a few short years. Like what you see now, this is not what it's going to be like in just a few more years. And I'm probably going to be dead before I'm 40. That's what you're signing up for if we decide to get married.
And you'll probably have to take care of me as I become disabled.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really like a very romantic way to talk about getting married.
Oh gosh. I was crushed inside. I was just devastated. It was like just someone reached in and just squeezed my heart. And I was just suffocating inside it. I thought, what on earth is going on here? Like, why does this have to happen? I meet the love of my life, and I am being told that I'm not going to be able to grow old with her. And I'm not going to be able to have children with her. Like, this is just the cruelest trick anybody's ever played. You know, this is what was going on in my mind. And then I just decided, you know what? She is just too amazing. She's too special to me. And my heart would be even more devastated if I couldn't be together with her, even if it's going to be a short period of time. So I told her, I said, listen, I'd rather spend a short life with you than a lifetime with anybody else.
Wow. Oh my goodness, you guys, what the most beautiful relationship I've ever seen, literally.
Yeah. And my answer was, okay, let's get married. You know, I was just like, okay, I'm not going to say no to happy, but it was, I never realized,
sorry.
We need to.
Not that, just whatever, a little bit closer.
No, but I never, I've never pushed away love. And it's one of the things I always tell the people who I see when they'll say, I feel like it's too much to let somebody in. And I'm like, don't you ever stop someone from loving you. Like you can't do that. And so we were going to get married and I was leaving. So we'd only been together 2 months and I was leaving from Pittsburgh to California. Mm-hmm. So suddenly we were apart. And Tom, he bought up every ticket he could find so that every weekend he could fly into LA just to see me. Sometimes, what was your shortest trip?
18 hours.
18 hours?
No way.
Just to get like a dose of being together. And whenever we were apart, we were just on our headphones talking to each other all the time. Yeah, it was,
Oh my goodness.
So after 6 months, he pulled a Goodwill Hunting. He just sold everything, his house, his business, got in a car and just drove all the way to Pittsburgh and from Pittsburgh to California, showed up at my door.
And that's just it ever since.
We've never been apart since. Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys have just lifted each other up, I feel like, in all areas of life, health, just every single area, right?
Yeah.
And then, so where did the nutrition come into play? Like you're still dealing with the health problems then, right? And then how did that shift?
Well, I learned to manage it. So again, I never thought about my illness first. I'd take my pills and I'd go to work. I put my shot in my butt, go to, and just not focus on it the rest of the day. So I did what I had to do. But now that we were getting married, well, I wanted to look good at my wedding. Now, those white coats will cover everything. I have the white coat on, and I was on the perfect diet for being overweight and sick. It's called hospital food.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's great for hospital business. Unless like New York City now has plant-based hospital food as a priority in the city hospitals.
Wow.
And yeah, they're changing things. But I started out in Pittsburgh and then going over to California. So yeah, hospital food's awful. And waking up, and I was a vegetarian. So I was really an egg, cheese, processed fooditarian. So every morning, an egg and cheese muffin, and then, and then whatever snacks I would pick up, and then protein bars, and then whatever they were serving at the hospital. And so it was bad food. Come home from work and comfort myself with a block of cheese from Costco, Yeah, she's like, ugh. Yeah, I was eating like that. And so I had gained some weight and I wanted to look at our wedding. Now, this guy at the time, he was getting brought into New York City to train people for MTV. MTV at the time was really hot, all the music videos happening. He was on MTV. He was 2003's hottest body at the beach house at TRL.
Nice. I love it.
Yes. I deserve that. Yeah. And, so he was really, and so, he had abs from like his teeth to his legs. And I was like, so I want to look like that at our wedding. I want to look like these MTV people, And he's very sweet. He first made sure it wasn't a trap. He's like, you're perfect. And I was like, no, I know, but it's not a trap. I want to look that good. And my college roommate, she just starved herself for her wedding and then gained 20 pounds on her honeymoon. I didn't want to do that. And with all the illness I'd faced, like there was just no way. So I said, I'd love to try what you're doing. And at the time, he was trying to apply mathematical algorithms to nutrition science because he was getting his master's in exercise science and it wasn't there. The nutrition part was so vague, and he could tell you more about that, but it drove him crazy because nobody seemed to know the right food for humans for fat loss. And he wanted it for aesthetics only. So he had this protocol that he developed. And I said, well, I want to be on your protocol so I can look as good as those MTV people because we're going to get married in Maui in a strapless dress. Hello. Right. Yeah. So he'd never met a vegetarian before. And so his protocol was high raw vegetables and omega-3s, water, all this stuff. But he thought at the time you needed meat for protein. He's long since, like in his book, he talks about how you could gain, muscle twice as faster with half the protein on a plant-based diet, all this good stuff. But at the time he thought you needed meat and it was like free range, whatever. But I hadn't eaten meat since I was 12. So he's like, all right, we'll just take the meat out for you and see what happens. And I got the same results. I was totally ripped. I went from a size 11 to a size 3 in 3.5 months. And for the first time since I was 16, this is 12 years of chronic lupus. For the first time, I had no joint pain. I had no headaches. I had tons of energy working 30-hour shifts. The other residents were all depressed and like sloggy and mopey. And I was just waking up and happy and feeling good. So I was so upbeat that the chairman pulled me aside to see if I was okay because I wasn't as like depressed and tired as the rest of the residents. Like he thought maybe I was hypomanic or I was like, no, I feel great and I'm happy. And they're like, this is perplexing, And so
they're like, is something wrong? Are you bipolar?
Yes, they really know. They really thought like maybe, by the end, I became the first solo chief resident at Harbor UCLA because they were just like, I had the energy to do the job of 2 people. But I was feeling great. And then right before the wedding, I got my blood test done. I had years of blood tests and everything from Pennsylvania and moved to California. And I got my blood test done. And right before our wedding, I got a call from the doctor saying, I'm going to have to retake my labs after the wedding because there was a mistake at the lab. Because these weren't my labs, because they were negative for lupus. And I'd never had a negative test for lupus in 12 years. I had protein in my urine from kidney issues that they told I'd have forever, the blood clot antibodies, all the lupus antibodies, and it was negative. Even my kidneys were normal. We're like, yeah, that's not right. So came back after the wedding, tested it again. And now my cholesterol, I was told it was high in my 20s because of genetics. Like when I asked my doctor what to do, he said, blame your parents. It was nothing to do with the cheese.
Yeah, I know, right?
My cholesterol was like 156.
Yeah.
So that was back in 2005. And I have never had a relapse. I've had negative labs ever since. So we just celebrated 19 years married and 19 years lupus free last week.
And look at what you've built since that 19 years, because just 2005, it is a long time ago, but not that long ago for how far you've come and how many people's lives you've changed because of changing your life.
Yeah. Well,
and essentially, maybe if you didn't meet Thomas, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
I might not be here.
You might be disabled right now, right?
I might be gone. Yeah. Who knows if I'd have had a major stroke or something else. I mean, the lupus was pretty aggressive.
Scary.
So yeah, we didn't realize at first what had happened because I was now a doctor. And so it never crossed my mind that nutrition had anything to do with it.
I forgot about that part too then. Yeah.
So if it had something to do with the diet, I would have learned that in medical school. So it never even crossed our mind that it was a diet. We're like, maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it's, I don't know, love. I don't know. Although I'd been in love with him for 6 months with lupus and it didn't change, so I changed my diet. But we didn't even think to check it until I had my first son 4 years later and had a healthy pregnancy. And my doctor was freaking out when I showed up pregnant. She was you have lupus. I said, I used to have lupus. She goes, you can't used to have lupus. Right. And she sent me to the high-risk OB and he sent me back. He's like, this woman's the healthiest patient I've seen. There's no chance. And so when I had my son and I had no relapse, I was perfectly healthy. And I mean, everything worked. I made enough milk to like feed him and donate extra. And in 9 days, I was back to my pre-pregnancy weight, which proved his metabolism theory. He did a full photo shoot. He's like, yes. And
you guys,
that's the first time we realized maybe I don't have lupus anymore for real. And if so, how? And that's when we used both of our scientific minds to go back and look at what did we do? And the only thing we changed was my diet. And we started to study how nutrition impacts cellular repair and immune function. And what we figured out is his metabolism idea was correct, that it does create a faster metabolism so you can lose fat and build muscle faster. But metabolism also refers to how quickly your body can adjust to what you are doing in real time. I can have a healthy pregnancy. I can not be pregnant looking at all 9 days later, right? Like my body in real time can do what it needs to. I'm about to turn 48 and I've never gained the weight back. Like I've never had.
And you look incredible, right?
Thank you.
Almost 50.
Yeah, and I feel great.
And the most important thing is that you feel good. And
I feel better at this age than I did at 18. At 18, I was on chemotherapy and kidney failure. And here I am almost 48 and I have no health problems.
Yeah. So if you didn't essentially make this diet shift, this nutrition shift, then who knows, right? It's crazy.
And I went from the sickest person in the room to the healthiest person in the room, where my friends who were healthy in high school, they have diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. A guy dated in medical school who was healthy died of a heart attack during the pandemic, while I was the one getting blood clots when we were dating. And I'm perfectly healthy now. I mean, I got a standing ovation from my doctor who did the colonoscopy. I did. He was like, whatever you're doing, I have never seen a colon that good. You're like 16 on the inside. I was like, well, thank you.
She was bragging about it for weeks.
Nobody would look at the pictures. I was like, look at my colon.
Yes, she was. She's sticking it in my face. Look at this colon.
And then his colon was just as nice. We have the same diet, but it was funny. Like I literally got a standard. He was clapping. He was like, wow.
Okay, well, watch till the end because we're going to find out everything that they're doing so you guys can get the cleanest colon too. And there is hope, right?
It is sparkling.
Because there's hope at any age though, right? Because some people are watching and they're going through those horrific times, those dark times. And there's hope, even if they're 48 right now, right?
I just worked with a gentleman in Italy who's 89, doubled his kidney function in 2 months. He was in kidney failure, and now he has normal kidney function. It was 2 months. Yeah,
wow.
At 89.
Okay. So yeah, there's so many stories that I want to talk about. And Thomas, I want to ask you too. So you are just like the man behind all this. You know so much too. Yeah. So Dr. Brooke, you said something that just caught my ear there about the protein and the muscle. Because a lot of people think you need the meat, you need the animal products to build the protein. So I would love for you to speak on that.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, that was the biggest thing that was stopping me from going vegan when we were first exploring what it would be like to go plant-based. So she went vegan first. And at the time, my fear was that if I switched to 100% plant-based, I'm going to lose all of my muscle that I have worked so hard to build. Like my whole life, I've had a hard time building muscle. It takes a lot of training for me to do it. And at the time, I would have to eat anywhere between 225 to 250 grams of protein every single day to get muscular gains. And they were small and they took a long time to do. And I had to train 5 to 7 days a week to do it. And it was just, I didn't want to lose that. And also, like, if I lose it, how do I get training clients? How do I get people to want to train with me if I look worse? Right?
True. As he said, if I turn into a skinny vegan.
So, But I decided one day to give it a shot. Like, all right, let me just try it and just see what happens. And so what I did was I just tried to replace all of my protein from that I was getting, the 225 grams to 250 grams, just with plant-based sources. But I choose the wrong sources. Like, I was getting all my protein from like the vegan hot dogs and vegan sausages.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, all of the worst vegan processed foods you could possibly imagine.
Part of the journey.
And my fears manifested. I got like, my body did not like that at all. Like yeah, I got weaker, I got fatter. It was horrible. And so after a few weeks, I did a before and after picture. I said, oh yeah, this is definitely a downgrade in every sense. But the problem was this, that my plan was I'm going to give it like 8 to 12 weeks, give it a fair shot. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to eating how I'm supposed to eat. But the problem was, after the third day, on the fourth day, I felt something I never felt before. I felt really guilty about ever eating meat. I'd never experienced that in my life. It was like I just suddenly connected the animals that I was eating to the actual animals that were trying to live their life and just trying to not be dead, not be murdered. And I like had this big epiphany, and it just all hit me. It was emotional. I cried, and it was just, I didn't know why I feel so terrible. And so at that point, even at day 4, this had nothing to do with what was going on with my body. It had everything to do with what was going on with me, I guess, spiritually. I can't go back to eating meat again. I can't do that. I can't put another dollar towards the death of another animal or the suffering of another animal again. So I said, if I don't make this work, I'm going to have to figure out some way to make it work, because I can't go back to eating meat again. So unfortunately, my first experiment was a failure. So then I tried it again, and I thought, let me try something a little different this time. One thing I realized, I said, wait a minute. If going plant-based is so much more anti-inflammatory, let's just say less inflammatory than meat-based bodybuilding, then maybe maybe I'm able to train more frequently because my muscles are able to recover faster. So I put that to the test. I basically stuck to the same plant-based diet, overdoing it on protein, but I got my sources became a little healthier. I switched from plant-based hot dogs to tofu and like pea protein, for example. And I doubled, even tripled the frequency of working out. So I would usually just do a body part a week. I would just kill my legs, and then a week later I would kill them again, do the same thing. I would kill my arms, and then a week later kill my arms. This time I decided, let me see what happens if I hit my legs and all my body parts 2 to 3 times a week. The first thing I noticed was like, holy crap, I couldn't believe I could actually do it, because usually I would be so sore. I couldn't work out a body part for a whole week. But what was happening was I was actually fully recovered in sometimes as little as 48 hours or 72 hours. And so I was hitting them. And what was crazy was, in 4 weeks, all of the gains that I lost came back. So I got all of my muscle back. I got all of my strength back in 4 weeks. I said, whoa, this is amazing. This is amazing. So then I thought, all right.
Wow.
I had to take a look at that. I said, okay, now that was it. It was, once you go vegan, you can actually train harder. You can train more frequently, and you have to, because your muscles, there's a principle, use it or lose it. And what was happening was my muscles were going from destroyed to fully recovered in like 2 to 3 days. And if I didn't work them out, I was actually spending more time resting and not even training them when they're ready to be trained. So I would train them hard, and then after 2 to 3 days, the muscles were like, okay, I'm stronger now. I'm ready to be trained again. But when I was doing it where I was only training them once a week, I was spending about 3 to 4, even 5 days not touching them. So the muscle said, oh, I guess you don't want to be strong. Let me just get a little weak on you since you're not training me again. So I was able to hit them more frequently, and that was the ticket. The second thing was eating all that protein, like eating 225 to 250 grams of plant-based protein. That is a lot of food. It was hard enough doing it meat-based, but geez, doing it plant-based, it was really difficult. It was a ton of food. So it made me wonder, how little can I get away with and still get these same gains? So I did another experiment, and this time around, I used the formula of take my body weight and divide it in half, and let's just see if I can even maintain my muscle gains that way. So I was only eating about 90 to 110 grams of protein a day, still doing the same training, nothing different, just so much less protein. And you know what happened? I didn't stop gaining muscle. It just kept building. And in fact, I got some of the greatest gains I ever had. So that was eye-opening, because my entire life, not only had I been taught that in order for me to gain a significant amount of muscle, I have to eat at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
And in my case, like in my experience, it actually took me a little bit more. I had to eat closer to like 1.25 times my body weight. But when I went vegan and I did 100% plant-based, I was pulling off the same results, if not better, on 0.5, half of my body weight in grams of protein. And there was absolutely no loss in rate of muscle gain. And I was setting some of the best PRs in my entire life, lifting more weight I had ever lifted in my entire life. This is after, at this point, an over 10 to 15 year career in personal training.
Yeah.
Best part. We had a local gym we were going to, but one of us had to be home because there was no childcare. And one day I went to the gym and I was wearing a shirt that said vegan muscle or something. And this guy comes up to me. He goes, "You're vegan?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I just became vegan." He goes, "There's this guy that comes in, this bald guy, and every day he lifts heavier than the day before. I'd never seen anything like it." And I asked him what his secret was, and he said he's vegan, so I'm vegan now too. And I was like, damn. So I came home, I'm like, I know what bald guy you're talking about.
I love it. Well, that's incredible. I love that. What would you say are your secrets then? Because long term, like, you didn't waste away. Like, you thought you'd not become this skinny vegan, right? So like, how have you made it work long term, and like anything else you've learned over all these years? Because you know so much.
Well, so the cool thing is, it's no longer a secret. There's so many great resources right now. There are so many successful vegan bodybuilders right now, and they're all sharing the information out there in the open. In fact, when I did this, I was so passionate about this that I started interviewing the best vegan physique athletes that I could find. If you won first place in a good contest with a lot of good competition, I wanted to talk to you about what you're eating and how you train and so on and so forth. And what I found when I did that, probably interviewed like 7 or 8 really solid vegan athletes. And at the end of the day, they were eating a decent amount of plant-based protein. They were training almost every single day. And that was it. There's no secret to it. What I wanted to figure out was like how little, because look, I'm a father. I run several businesses. Like, how do you do this in a practical way for a person who doesn't want to become a full-time bodybuilder or make fitness their career? How do you pull that off? And so that's why I did the protein experiment, because that was like probably the biggest nutritional like deal breaker for me, is having to eat so much protein. I didn't even talk about the gas that comes with that when you eat that much protein, so I thought, all right, I got to figure out what is the bare minimum so I can get the same results. And so that was a big breakthrough, knowing that I could pull it off on half the amount of protein, meant I could eat half the amount of food. And that was such a game changer. The second thing was, so I was always under the belief that like I had to eat 5 to 6 meals every single day. You got to eat every 2 hours. And a lot of bodybuilders do. But then I ran into a few bodybuilders that were winning first place, eating 3 meals a day. I even met one bodybuilder who was doing the intermittent fasting. He was winning contests, eating 1 meal a day. I said, whoa, okay, that kind of contradicts everything that I thought. But if he's actually doing it, then it's worth a shot. So I tried doing it on 1 meal and then 2 meals and then 3 meals. And I realized, like, oh my gosh, as far as results go, it's not really changing anything. This is fantastic. So a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 meals a day, half the amount of protein, I'm good to go. The secret is just train every day, or as many days as you possibly can, and just keep it up. Don't ever stop, and you'll make gains.
Yeah, the fitness part is really important too, right? It's not just the food.
Oh, don't you wish you could just eat your way to a perfect body? You can't. You got to do both.
Yeah.
And that's a question I get a lot when people are like, I need to gain weight. I have to eat more protein. I said, eating more protein is not going to, it will make you gain weight, but you just get fatter. The only way it makes you buffer is you have to then lift heavy weights. If you're sitting on the couch drinking a protein drink, you're not going to gain muscle, right? And nobody wants to just sit and gain fat. But even what he's teaching, I mean, that's for people who want to look like this gorgeous man. I don't ever think about that. I eat mostly my greens and salads and stuff, and you can get toned and fit, but you'll be smaller. But for people who aren't sick, who just want to get big and have the aesthetics, you can do it. And I don't have to worry now about heart disease. I mean, the first time I ever saw someone in their 30s have a heart attack as a physician was a bodybuilder. And so they look amazing on the outside, and on the inside, their arteries are clogging up. And so his family history is heart disease and colon cancer. And so that worried me too. Here I am healthy, and you look amazing and you feel fine, but on the inside, I know that your risk of cancer is going up and heart disease. And I don't want me to live forever and then lose you. So I guilted him enough times where he finally one day went to try it. And we were able to have everything where he can have the physique he wants. And I also don't have to worry about his health. And for us, I was talking to you before we started that one of the ways that we love each other is by taking care of ourselves, right? I don't want to have to worry about him, and he doesn't have to worry about me. We take care of ourselves, and that's loving to each other.
That's beautiful. And you were talking about diabetes and cancer a minute ago. So that just reminded me, I interviewed somebody last week and they said 70% of people are dying now. 70% of people die from cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Do you think that stat is accurate?
Well, definitely the number one disease that people die from in Western countries is heart disease. And that is a foodborne disease. And then after that, you get diabetes, cancer. Then there's also autoimmune disease. Then there's also reactions to medications and things. So medicines can save our life. I wouldn't be sitting here without them. I don't need them now, but back in the day, right? But if you're sick and need meds, you also have a higher risk of having side effects and things that could get you too, right? People sometimes go into surgery and don't come out, right? So everything that you can do to take care of yourself, I'm not anti-medicine, and I think we have to use whatever we need, but not needing it is sure nice.
Yeah, not
and
eating it.
Most of the reason people are sick and take medicines are entirely avoidable if they just start eating right. And as I mentioned, at any age, I mean, my mother had rheumatoid arthritis and was limping around years ago. She's 70 now, and she goes to the same boot camp as me in the morning.
That's incredible. At 70.
We're pushing boxes. We're doing CrossFit workouts. Listen, she's not lifting what I'm lifting, but she's not limping around anymore. Like, she feels good at 70. Right. Whereas in her 50s, she had swollen knees and was in pain. So, and she makes her smoothies and she, eats right. So it's one of those things where there's not an age limiter, and you can get yourself healthy. People ask me all the time, well, what percentage of people you work with don't get better? So everyone who does what I say gets better. Does everything go back to factory reset? Not always. I have scars on my back from when I, took steroids and gained 20 pounds and it ripped my skin. There's evidence that things happen, but I need no disease and I have no illnesses, right? There are some people I see with MS who they can get up and they can walk again, but maybe they still have some issues that came from original damage caused by the disease, right? So it's really about getting back everything you can and optimizing your ability to have a good life. And we can all do that. And we can all start that immediately. We don't have to wait to do that.
Yeah. Do you think people need to cleanse and detox, or they can just go into like eating whole foods?
Yeah. Listen, there is a cleanse detox phase that happens if people just jump into raw eating. I'm sure folks who follow you have experienced that, right? Where they go, why do I feel worse? I'm eating salad. Like, you're feeling what you did before. It's leaving your system now. And now you know what you did, right? It's like having a hangover, right? You're feeling what you did, right? But what we do is we really try to meet people where they're at. So for some folks, they really need to be aggressive right off the bat. I've helped people get off the lung transplant list, kidney transplant list, liver transplant list, right? If folks have failing organs, I don't mess around. You're going to eat raw foods. You're going to be on hypernourishment protocol. We go full into, we call it the Goodbye Lupus protocol because it healed me, but it's, the full protocol for nutrition to get you well, no messing around. But for most folks, they don't need to start there. And it's a difficult thing to do, to just change your diet. So we always start with, let's add what you're missing. So that smoothie we made today, right? Say, okay, start with adding that smoothie. Drink that. You've been doing good.
It's great. Yeah. If you guys, I'll put the video down below so you guys can go check this out.
I'm sure she will. So you drink the smoothie and then eat whatever else you're already eating. You're going to start getting better. Number one is going to crowd out some food because that's a big blender, right? But two, you start to feel better and you start to repair some damage. And people say, oh, my energy's better. My allergies are better. I'm feeling so much better, right? And then as you're feeling that, then you can start looking at, all right, now how do I replace lunch? Okay, what can I do for dinner? And so that way, I'm kind of using their psychology, because a lot of people, all they can think about is what they're never going to eat again.
Yeah.
And I go, you know what? Don't worry about that. Let's talk about what you need to add. And then as you're feeling better, let's talk about taking the other things out. And so psychologically, people often find it easier than that lifetime commitment.
Yeah. What do you think are the key things to add in? Like, I hear you talk a lot about omega-3s, and maybe expand on why they're important, and cruciferous vegetables I hear you talk about too.
Yeah. So we developed something we call hypernourishment, and it's an intentional overdose in the nutrition your body uses to repair damage, create a fast metabolism, and improve immune function, right? And so that's the ingredients that most people are missing. So even when I have a lot of folks I see that are long-term vegans, but then they get sick, they get autoimmune disease or something. And granted, it's usually milder and much older than the other folks, but they can still get sick. And what I find is they're usually just missing these key ingredients, right? So what people need for health, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, other phytonutrients like sulforaphane, studied by Johns Hopkins, that's anti-cancer and antiviral, found in cruciferous vegetables, but only raw, right? So there's all these different phytonutrients we need. That's basically plant nutrients. Omega-3 fatty acids creates the anti-inflammatory immune system, but how well it works really depends on its ratio to the omega-6 system. Omega-6 fatty acids, also important, but if you have too many of them, you generate too much inflammation. So most people are very off balance. So omega-3 fatty acids, we hyperdose those in hypernourishment, flax and chia seeds, right? And then water intake. I was just preparing a lecture for Kaiser Permanente, wanted me to come to be their keynote speaker for a wellness event, and then it got snowed out. So we're rescheduling. But one of the biggest things I was trying to teach them that doctors never think about was about the hydration part. That research has proven that even small amounts of hydration immediately shuts down cellular metabolism as well as cognitive function and working memory. So people, and then in addition to that, it's the main cause of constipation and headaches. So how many people are walking around with brain fog, constipation, headaches, and tired? They're just dehydrated and they need to drink more water. So that's also a part of hypernourishment. We get people, unless they're on restrictions, people with kidney failure or heart failure sometimes can't drink all the water. Okay. But for most folks, 96 ounces of water a day is a great starting point, and a lot of it goes into the smoothie, 30, 40 ounces already there. And then throughout the day. And so when they add these nutrients, the raw cruciferous vegetables that have all the phytonutrients that we talked about, the omega-3 fatty acids from flax and chia seeds in the water, that's hypernourishment. How you get it in is up to you. I have my new book where you can get it in with, salads and wraps and even like cruciferous lasagna. All of these are raw, but they're more fun and exciting, right? Or you can just drink them. That's the original protocol, it's like just drink them. Actually, originally I didn't know about smoothies. So I literally ate like 2 pounds of broccoli and cauliflower in guacamole. I had jaws of steel. I could have ripped off a car door with my teeth, but back, that's how I did it. Just in drinking the oil for the omega-3s. Then we discovered the smoothies and suddenly people were willing to do it who were not interested in the broccoli technique. So that's just an easy way to do it. But really all that matters is you find a way. If you find a favorite dressing and you're willing to eat it in salads, fabulous. But the whole key is if you can get hypernourishment in, your body will now have the ability to repair damage. And it also optimizes immune function, not just reversing autoimmune diseases, but your ability to fight diseases. Like when we have rapid recovery programs where we work with people every day. And we were working with people in rapid recovery during COVID. And so here we are with people who are very sick, autoimmune diseases, and everyone in their family has COVID and not them. And we're like, wait, you should be the sickest one there. But they're just drinking the smoothies all day. Like, I don't know. I feel fine.
Incredible.
Johns Hopkins just found that raw cruciferous vegetables contain an ingredient, sulforaphane, that prevents COVID and other viruses from replicating. Oh, well, that's good.
Wow.
So there's always a reason, even if you're healthy, to keep drinking them and taking care of yourself.
Yeah. And you work with so many patients around the globe. What is maybe just the craziest story that comes to mind of somebody reversing something? Like, is there a story or two where you're just like, wow, this was incredible?
Every day. Yeah. It's every day.
Wow.
I mean, so in our rapid recovery groups, we work with groups at a time, right? And we have these groups every 2 months. And every day we see people, like someone with MS who hadn't been able to walk without a walker or, mostly in a wheelchair, who by the third week is able to go up the stairs on his own for the first time in 3 years. A 77-year-old with glaucoma who had normalized at 5 weeks in, no more glaucoma. Multiple people.
I think our kidney failure folks are the biggest nail biters because most of them are the point where they are on dialysis or this close to dialysis and they're getting blood draws every single week or multiple times a week. So we're actually able to see what's going on the inside of their body on an almost daily basis. So we can actually see the influence of the nutrition that's happening on their body pretty much as close to real time as you can get with something going on the inside. And so watching people's kidney function and those indicators going up in the right direction and the ones that need to go down, going down in the right direction, just day by day by day, is one of the coolest things ever, because then you start seeing their swelling starts to go away and normalize again. They're actually able to consume more water, because one of those things when you're in severe kidney failure is drinking too much water can actually put you in severe danger. And seeing the doctors telling them like, okay, well, we can remove that restriction, remove this restriction, and watching their lives get closer and closer to normal again is one of the coolest things. But we see it rapidly. I mean, it's happening on a daily basis right in front of our eyes.
And, you know, right now in nephrology, they tell patients that there's nothing they can do. And so most of the people who come to us, they ask their nephrologist and they go, oh, it's a waste of money, waste of time. There's no reason to do that. And then every week their function goes up. I just finished a 4-week rapid recovery with somebody who was in kidney failure, and her doctor said, this is silliness, right? And in 4 weeks, her kidney function is the best it's been in years. And I mean, it's been over 3 years, and she's never seen her kidney function this good. And she has 2 nephrologists, and one of them is like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. And the other one goes, whatever you're doing, just do that. I have no idea. I've never seen this before. And we hear that over and over again, is that we don't understand what's going on. But I mean, we've had folks like literally they haven't urinated in years, and they start urinating usually about 3 weeks in. Their kidneys start to work again. We've gotten people off dialysis, or they'll go from 3 days a week to 1 day a week. And some people are off. It depends where they come. Like right now, we just started a group. We have people who have 5% kidney function. So, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, the sooner you come to us, the better. But we can track it. We can track it and watch it. Whereas most things, like if you have arthritis or something, we're tracking symptoms because antibodies take time to die off. But with kidney function, we can measure it. Liver enzymes, fatty liver disease, usually 3 to 4 weeks in, the liver enzymes are normal. So it's just one of those things where there's certain things we can track by labs. And yeah, those are always the most exciting because they have to be on the strictest meal plans when they have organ failure, but they can literally watch their labs and go, oh my gosh, it's working, it's working.
And it's exciting. Best typically to be on the strictest, right? Because some people probably are like, well, can I still eat a little bit of this or eat a little bit of that?
Well, that's the thing, you're rolling the dice. Yeah. It's hard to know because we've seen some, like our kidney failure folks, the most severe kidney failure folks, again, because we're getting the blood draws almost every day in some cases every single day. We're actually able to see what the impact is to every little thing that would be kind of a mistake in the body. And we've seen some things that happen to people's kidney function with foods that we would have never thought could cause a problem. Things that are in it that would seem innocent, like some beans or some cooked lentils or some oatmeal. We're like, what? And then we see their kidney function just tank as a result of that. We're going, I don't know why. I don't know what the mechanism of action is, but we see it and we see it consistently. So we have to stay strict. But when people are strict, it's 100% of the time, just everybody does better. The kidneys get better. In fact, that's how we know if someone's been like eating off plan and lying to us about it, because we can actually see it in their blood work.
You can see, Jesse. Yeah. We know what you're doing.
I get the lab and I'll be like, every week it's getting better. And then I'll go, what did you eat? And they'll go, they're like, I just had a bite. And I'm like, yeah, well, your kidneys don't lie. Kidneys don't lie. And it's so important because that is one place where we can track it. And I actually published getting someone off the transplant list. And with that published case, I also showed another guy with her just to show the impact of food, where he had totally normalized his kidney function on the raw foods, right? But then he was having issues emotionally in his life and ate meat and got himself back into kidney failure. And he goes, well, let me just do it like mostly raw. I'll do all the nourishment, but just add a little bit of cooked beans and vegetables. And what happened is his kidneys stabilized, but they didn't improve. And after 2 months, I was like, please, man, let's just kick out that little bowl of beans. And in 2 weeks, 20% increase in kidney function.
See, so it's crazy to me. It just goes to show the power of how anything we put in us can affect us.
Yes.
Every single choice we make, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like you guys are just doing one of the most angelic jobs on earth. Like you are helping people with their health because there's nothing more valuable, right? People can have everything in the world, like all the money, all the cars, all the homes, everything. But if you don't have your health, none of it matters, right?
Yeah. Health and love. You have to take care of yourself and the people that you love. Yes.
And I think mental health has a big part in how we eat, right? And I think you're on the Forbes Health Board, the health committee. And I think you help with reversing disease, which is what you do, and mental health. So what do you see with everybody you guys work with the mental health, and what impact has it had on your own mental health, like these changes?
So my original specialty is in psychiatry. And so I'm board certified in psychiatry and neurology, and I'm a trauma specialist. So my original goal for my career, which is where I started, was working with the homeless. So I was a medical director at a nonprofit rehabilitating people 18 to 25 coming out of juvenile justice and foster care who end up homeless. And I thought that would be my job. That was my goal. That was my dream. I always wanted to help the people nobody else was helping. Mm-hmm. And then this happened to me. And over time, I felt this pull. Well, nobody's helping these other people that are dying from these diseases that don't need to be. People are losing people they love and they don't know better, right? And so that I got pulled this way. But I thought when I switched into focusing on teaching people disease reversal, especially nutrition, that I was leaving the mental health world, but I'm not, because every day I'm helping people overcome trauma and depression and anxiety and self-sabotage and food addictions and all that. So I was already working in addiction. I'm still am, but now it's food addiction. People with autoimmune diseases have 60% or higher rates of autoimmune diseases than other folks. In one study, 70% higher. So when you are depressed, when you're anxious, when you're traumatized, you have higher inflammation. And if you have higher inflammation, you have higher likelihood of disease, be it cancer or autoimmune disease or other things. And also your mental health affects your ability to stick with nutrition, right? I'm working with someone right now who she's in a rapid recovery group. I was looking over her stuff and she was doing great. And then she was feeling depressed, and then she ate a bunch of junk. I said, you've got to do something better when you get depressed. Let's get you doing something active. Let's learn real self-care. And that's what we teach. The first thing we teach them is self-care, because you have to learn how to feel your emotions and also deal with your emotions in a way that promotes your health, instead of just eating to try to not feel and you're destroying your health, right? So I'm still every day working with that. And Tom is amazing at that too.
A lot of these folks that come to see us, they've been suffering with their disease for quite a while, many, many years. And it's natural for them to feel depressed and to have a very negative outlook on life, because they've just been dealing with the worst of the worst, dealing with their health condition, the decrease in the quality of their life that's just getting worse and worse every single year. So, we expect that. But after working with a few thousand people, we started noticing something very interesting, is that there were people that were under the same circumstances, but they had this great attitude. They had a lot of happiness in their life. And you could really see that them enjoying every little pleasure they possibly could in life was a big part of it. And we were seeing those people heal way faster than everybody else. We started seeing, just hands down across the board, the people that were happier had symptom reversal and normalized labs faster than the folks that were dealing with depression on a daily basis. And so that's why we said, we need to really see what happens when we start implementing self-care and lifestyle to this, not just giving them nutrition guidance and making sure they get enough sleep, but let's really see what happens across the board when we start really making them focus on their happiness just as much as they're focusing on their nutrition. And what happened was results went way up.
That's incredible.
That's what we do in our rapid recovery group. Every single day, we're teaching them how to think the way they do, how to experience life the way they do, how to pursue joy. And so that's what's so wonderful. Like, for example, Bernard, the one I told you about who reversed his glaucoma, he's in his 70s. And at the end, he goes, I don't need my diabetes medicine. My glaucoma's gone. But the best benefit I got from working in this group is I'm a happy, joyful man. I was always a grumpy old guy. But you teaching me how to enjoy my life is actually even better than getting my vision back. The quality of life you have, and that's what we teach. Even sick right now, you can learn how to feel gratitude and feel lucky and feel happy and pursue joy and pursue everything that makes you feel glad you're alive. And that will motivate you to eat well, because that way you get to keep that. And the happier you are, the faster you heal. So that's something that we work on with people every day. And we pour a lot of love into them every day.
I love that. I didn't realize you did all that. I thought it was more the food. I didn't realize. So it's a whole package, and really it makes complete sense. And you both know so much. You have such a background. I don't know if I can think of two people who know more off the top of my head right now. So I'd love to know just maybe the three top things that come to mind, the three most important things you've each learned about health through all these years. Say you could only pass on a legacy and leave like three pieces of information or three things that you think just pop out as so key that you've learned through all these decades.
I'll start by just saying it is so much more simple than most people make it out to be. It is not complicated. Just get your vegetables in, get your water in, and then get the good fats in. Just you do those three things, you're already 95 to 99% there.
Okay. I love that. So true. And do you think with the fats, you said the fats, do we have to be careful with the fats, even as like healthy raw vegans or plant-based people? Do you think we have to watch our fats don't get carried away, or no?
So that was an interesting one, because when I learned about omega-3 fatty acids and how it could potentially raise metabolism, I wanted to really test what the limits were. I wanted to see, okay, how much can someone eat before it goes the other way and you start gaining fat instead? And so when I was when I had created the weight loss programs for the equipment manufacturer behind the show, The Biggest Loser, back in the day, I got to use their showroom as my little laboratory to basically play out all my little fat loss experience. It was great. So I had all these clients that would come in. I would put them on different little nutrition strategies, and I would just basically sit back and see what would happen. And so when I got into omega-3 fatty acids, I was dosing up my clients with different amounts of fatty acids. And I thought, all right, let's see how the fat loss goes when I start really upping the amounts. So it started with like 300 calories of omega-3 fatty acids, and another person, I gave them 600 calories. I gave another person an unlimited amount, just like as much as you could possibly get, right? So it came out to about 1,200 calories a day just from omega fatty acids on top of all the other food that they had to eat, okay? The only reason they stopped at 1,200 because they're like, I'm going to throw up. I literally am going to throw up if I have any more of this fat. It is so sickening. That person lost the most fat out of everybody else.
Interesting.
So that made me realize, like, wow, okay, when it comes to omega-3 fatty acids, I'm going to say, the one thing they were all doing is they were exercising. I can't tell you what's going to happen if you're just sedentary and you eat all this, but I can tell you for a fact, if you're exercising, it's going to enhance and accelerate the benefit that you get from the exercise.
Okay.
And even people who don't exercise, they don't gain fat. Nobody's complaining about getting fatter on our programs. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, so what do we learn?
So one was, it's not complicated. It's not complicated.
Simple.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Simple. People complicate it, right? Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's why we have so many free resources. And he created the website smoothie-shred.com, which is just a free resource that shows people how to make smoothies. And here's what you do. And it's just, here's an easy recipe. We want it to be simple or people won't do it. Mm-hmm. Right. I'd say for me, one is that the most important thing for your health is what you're missing usually. Like if you're missing this food, add it. Right? You could figure out the rest later, but at least make sure that you're getting what you're missing. And that way it feels less overwhelming. Like, okay, I have to finish that blender, I have to drink my water, and then I'll figure the rest out. And I think the other one is just to always find a path to gratitude. Like I know for me, they predicted I was going to die over 30 years ago now. So what was it? 32 years ago, I was given 6 months to live. Right. And every day I wake up, I'm just happy to be here. When you said I skip through life, I do, because I'm just like, I'm still here. Like I'm here, and even if this is the last day, it's a good day. And so finding a path to just be grateful, even if your body is not working well, if you're not feeling well, that there's some goodness you can find in this day, and you have to reach for it, and you have to let yourself be grateful for it, because we don't always get to choose what happens to us each day, but we choose how to face the day and what to do with those things. And the more grateful you are, the more resilient you'll be when the bad stuff happens, because it will. Mm-hmm. Because it will. Life gets you eventually. And we've definitely been we've gone through pain, but the reason we can still smile is because of how grateful we are for everything that we have.
Wow. You guys are just so beautiful. You're doing it right. You should write the life book, the rule book. And you guys have just created, I don't want to even say manifested, because you've created too, such a beautiful life, such an abundant life. And I know you were saying before, it's a bit of a topic shift, but super interesting to my viewers and everyone out there, that it wasn't always this way. So you weren't always living like a super abundant, amazing life like this. I'm sure you were still grateful though. Maybe that's why you are now.
Happy at all.
Yeah.
At all points of our life, we were just always ecstatically happy.
Oh, I still remember. So when I first moved to California from Pittsburgh, I had enough money to be able to have like a 2-story house that I was renting with a roommate in Pittsburgh. I moved to California, and I was in a
it was a 300 square foot 1-bedroom efficiency.
It was so small,
and you guys were paycheck to paycheck then, right?
Well, yeah. So it was 2 big cats. Yeah. And so when we first moved in there, I couldn't afford furniture or anything because I just started as a resident. You don't get paid really much as a resident. And LA, it was $1,100 a month. And this was back in like 2004 for this little tiny place. So I couldn't afford furniture. And so I had a blanket, and we're laying on the floor of this empty apartment, and we're laying on the blanket and to go to sleep at night. And he was beside me and helped me move. And I said, I just never want to forget that this is the luckiest I've ever felt. Like I have everything right now.
See, because some other people might be like, this sucks. Look at her.
No, I had everything. Like I was still...
Well, everything she owned, we were able to transport on the airplane ride
it
from
was my cats.
Pittsburgh to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was like, I was still alive. And I was about to start my residency, which was my dream. Like how many people live their dream? And I'd worked so hard, and I was about to become, like I was officially a doctor. And so I was living my dream. I'd moved from the cold Pittsburgh to places with palm trees. That was one of my dreams. I had the most amazing soul laying there beside me. And I was just like, I never want to forget that I have everything right now. And so I could lose everything else. And if I have my family and I have my purpose and my passion, like I have everything. All the rest is wonderful, but not necessary.
And did you guys ever dream that you'd make it here with every area, like with the health, with the abundance, I'm in your home. It's absolutely stunning with everything you know.
We were just completely involved with just the fact that we were together. Like that was just such a big, amazing moment. Even the fact that the cat's toilet was right there in our living room and she had 2 really big cats that ate a lot. We were ecstatic. The fact that we could just be together and started this little life. But no, we didn't see that this was even possible back then. It was all about following our heart. And from that point, we've made every big decision in our life from our heart. And despite what our brains might have been telling us, that like a lot of decisions, even the decision to pursue a relationship with Brooke, like my biggest fear was like, I was destined to feel the greatest pain in my entire life because I'm going to get 3 to 4 good years and then she's going to be dead. And it's going to be just the worst, most awful thing possible. That fear in my life, that fear in my head was present, but I followed my heart instead. And it's worked out so beautifully. And that's what's happened with every decision we've made since.
Wow. It just goes to show where following our hearts may lead us. And you have one of the most beautiful relationships I've ever seen. I was saying before, I do notice, because we go around, interview a lot of people who are living a healthy lifestyle. And I do notice people on the healthier lifestyle, not against people who aren't, but have just such a loving, amazing relationship. So and you're together over 20 years. By that point, a lot of people would be maybe not so loving. I see you guys off camera, can't keep your hands off each other. So respectful of each other, so caring. And any advice for people to have such an amazing relationship? And any advice for people, maybe a lot of people out there don't know if somebody is the one or they're hung up on a relationship. Basically, any good relationship advice, because you guys have it figured out.
It's funny. My son actually was coaching his friend yesterday because his friend's in a bad relationship in high school, and then he said, my friend told me, I'm not sure if I want to stay with my girlfriend because I like another girl. He goes, you're already in the wrong relationship if you have to think about whether you need to, if you have to worry about whether they're the one, they're not, And so I think one issue is people settle. You have to become the person that you fall in love with yourself, and you will attract the person who admires that. When my husband and I met, we were full people. We were both living our dream. He had created his business. He was loving his life. I was pursuing my dreams. And so we were both independently happy and not looking for a relationship. We had both actually told our own best friends, like, I don't even need a relationship. I'm so happy right now in my life. And so we tend to attract what we are more than what we want. So we have to become what we want. And that means being able to be fully fulfilled and happy all on your own. And that way your partner becomes someone who just adds more excitement and fun and love to your life, but not someone who fills a need, for you. And so we had that from the beginning. And communication. I mean, we are always together. We work together. We live together. Our offices are next to each other. But we're constantly talking and we're constantly playing. And he's my best friend. And we have so much fun together every single day. So, I mean, once you are able to attract that best friend, then you just nurture that. I mean, I just don't want to be around anybody else. Like, he's just my favorite person.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part. I mean, what do you say?
100% agree. Yep. That's when I go back and I look at all the relationships that I had in my past, it mirrors who I was at the time. All the relationships that never worked out for me mirrored where I was in terms of my growth and my insecurities. I either would find somebody that amplified my insecurities or were insecure themselves. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I was no longer looking for anybody. And when I was unsure about the direction of my life, I would find people that would kind of amplify that uncertainty and insecurity. And then when I finally let that go and said, you know what, I'm just going to live purely just on purpose from here. What feels right is what I'm going to do. And I got to the point where I focused on my business and I focused on the things that made me happy and the people that made me happy. And a relationship, just kind of the whole desire for that just kind of withered away. And I remember getting to the point where I was telling my best friend at the time, I said, gosh, I'm so happy right now. Like, I get to spend time with you. I'm talking to my family every single day. This is amazing. I'm meeting new friends constantly. I love what's happening with my business. This is just so great. I'm fulfilled. I'm training people. I'm a fitness trainer. This is so cool. And I told him, I said, gosh, if I die like this, I will have no regrets. Like, if I never find a person to marry, I'm okay. I'm actually totally content the way I am. And a week later, I meet her.
That's how it works. You hear these stories all the time. This is how it works.
The funny thing is, I said the same thing to my best friend a week before, and both of our friends were named Sean.
No way.
I don't even need a relationship. I'm just too happy because, sometimes when you're not with the right person, the relationship can drain you. And so I've been with so many people who would say, wow, you make me a better man. And I go, but I'm the same. I was just saying that. I'm like, I'm the same though. I want to be better too. Like, I want someone who inspires me to be more. And you know what? I'm just going to make myself better. I'm just going to work on me instead of fixing other people because I'm good at that. I mean, I literally did that as a job, right? And so, but I didn't want to do that in relationships anymore. And I wanted people to fix themselves because it'd be draining. Like, if you hate your job, why don't you get another job and just, right? I don't complain. I just go after what I want and I work hard. And so I'm like, I'm just going to work on me. And then I meet this guy and he never complains. Like, we don't complain about things. We don't focus on what's wrong. We focus on what's good and what makes us excited and what makes us happy. And so since meeting him, I definitely have become the best version of myself. He's inspired me to do more. I was just going to, do a 9-to-5 job. And he's the one who's like, people need your story. He's the reason for all these books. He's like, you need to write a book. You need to get on stage. He was the one that was being called to be on stages. I mean, this man has shared the stage with Tony Robbins many times. He's an inspirational speaker. He's so humble, but this guy is an amazing person who is out there. And he would drag me with him and be like, you should listen to my wife. She's amazing. And so, all right, fine. We'll put her on the stage in the corner.
And then she would blow them away.
Yeah.
Then they would be like, Thomas Tadlock, who? What?
But,
we want more of Dr. D.
But it was just one of those things where he always has seen just more in me and pushed me to do more and to be more. And he always makes me feel like the most beautiful person in the room. So.
Wow. And okay, just a couple more questions. What if somebody's out there and they have a hard time? Like, I know you guys are like, listen to your heart, listen to what's inside, not your head, essentially. What if somebody has a hard time, like tuning in, getting clear, figuring out what is right, which path, which relationship,
Well, that usually means they need to work on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? No one else is going to solve your problems. You have to become the person that you are proud of, the person that you love. You look in the mirror and say, yes, that's right. That's who I want to be. A lot of times we're like, oh, who should I settle for? Is it this one or this one? No, you'll know when that person comes into your life where like every time you're around them, you feel better, and in the meantime, just try to choose the path in front of you where, which path seems a little bit more exciting, which one seems a little brighter, and just, that's your GPS. Like, all right, which road, like Robert Frost, right? Which one feels like a little bit more exciting and go that way. I never knew I'd be doing all this. I didn't even know I'd be alive right now, right? But it's just, I kept choosing the thing that felt right. Even choosing my residency program. All my friends had spreadsheets. All right, this is how many call hours there are, and here's how many this and that. And I just would go in an interview, and if I liked them more than the last one, all right, this is now my first choice. Call, who cares? All that stuff will, I just went to the place where I was like, my heart was happy. Here's where I'm supposed to be. And ever since I met him, my heart's been very happy and I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, that's what we found. We found the decisions that were made based on the greatest excitement. It would almost be proven to us that was the right choice because doors just start flying open and it just becomes super easy and there's no resistance. Continue to grow down that path. The ones that we weren't supposed to go down, we can feel the resistance like a brick wall. And it's like we're moving through molasses, trying to put way too much energy just to move a little bit forward. And that would tell us that's not the way to go.
Okay. I love that. Wow. So much. I'm gaining so much from this. So I'm sure everyone is. And they might be upset with me if I don't ask. So I want to ask, I forgot to ask before, what do you each eat in a day?
Oh, goodness. So I've been maintaining health for a long time, so I don't have to be perfect. Most of the time, I'm doing smoothies during the day because I'm sitting at my desk all day. Like, you're one of the few people who gets to see my lower body.
And it's perfect. So you should show it off more.
I'm sitting at my desk all day. So I'm usually just drinking my smoothies and drinking my water all day. That's pretty much it. If I go and have a really hard workout, I might have like some Ezekiel bread and avocado or something, fuel that carbs, right? But most of the time I'm just working on my smoothies and my water. And then at dinner time, I eat an enormous salad and then usually something else with it. So right now we're lucky because we moved our parents into the neighborhood so that we could take care of them as they get older. But right now, they're taking care of us. So at dinner time, we just find out whose mom has made dinner and we go back and forth. So tonight it's his mom, so it'll be tofu and broccoli. And then when it's my mom, my mom's not a cook. She just uses a pressure cooker, makes like a tofu vegetable soup. So I always go mostly for the salad and then I'll eat a little bit of the cooked. They'll eat a lot of salad, but then eat a ton. I have a growing teenager and they eat more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say I'm probably 75 to 80% raw. And then also probably about like 80 to 90% good. So on the weekends, we do what we call recreational eating. If you are healthy, your body can actually take a hit, without dying, right? It's like a video game, like how much life power you have. So I can have some alcohol. I can have like an Impossible Burger if I want to. It doesn't feel good, like tastes good. And then I'm like, give me some Netflix and sweatpants because my belly inflates. But I can handle it and I still wake up lupus free. So that's usually what we do is that during the week, we eat very well, high raw, mostly like smoothies and salads, some cooked food. And on the weekend, we eat that plus might go to a restaurant or something like that and can maintain health pretty easily that way. And that's what I tell my clients. Be strict to heal. And then you'll be able to not have to be that strict to maintain it. Mm-hmm. But most people don't want to do that. They want to be able to, eat junky while healing. That doesn't work,
No.
Yeah. So today I'm shooting for about 120 grams of protein. So I'll have a smoothie. And then at some point I'll have a block of tofu that has about 70 grams of protein in it. I like eating my tofu. I love vegan kimchi. So I'll add those two together. And then I'll have, today, since we are going to eat at my parents' house, I'm going to have even more tofu and broccoli and rice. And probably at some point, big salad. I've got like a big bag of shredded cabbage, like a coleslaw mix. So I'll probably throw some guacamole and pico de gallo together, mix all that together and just eat the whole thing.
Awesome. Sounds good. And it's not boring. It's exciting, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it's exciting, but see, during the week, I'm not looking for a gourmet meal. Yeah. I'm literally just, it's like brushing my teeth. I'm just trying to put the nutrition in my body. That's all I care about. I don't need it to be a spectacular thing. In fact, I'd rather it be over fast so I can get back to what I was focusing on. Right. But Brooke and I, we slow everything down on the weekends. So we like to go out to restaurants. We like to tell the restaurants we're coming and that we're vegan, make something amazing for us. I don't care what you make, just make it awesome, make it taste good. And we'll sit there for 3 hours, just slowly eating everything going, we'll do that. And that gives us our cuisine kick for the week.
Good balance.
Now, with that said though, since we're talking about healing and stuff, you gotta realize she's not sick. She doesn't have a disease. When you are healthy, you can do that once in a week without turning it into a disease. It's the people that are already sick, trying to live moderately, getting themselves sicker every time they go and eat like that. Even if it's once a week, they're making themselves way worse. So that is not good advice for someone who's currently dealing with an autoimmune disease or an illness.
Yeah, point taken. Absolutely.
Yeah, we savor everything. So today's Monday, right? So yesterday we spent like hours just, sitting together in the pool and talking. Most of our time savoring is just hanging out together. We were with our son all weekend. We played pickleball. We kicked him and his friend's butt at pickleball and embarrassed him fully with our celebrating.
I can picture that.
Oh yeah, we're pretty silly. So we're out and about doing things and having fun and savoring life for the most part. But yeah, so if you can savor your life, food can be simple. And during the week, we're working. This is just like a small portion of my day. Most of my time is just seeing people and helping people heal. So yeah, the smoothie, anything that makes it simple is good. Yeah. I'm not focused on the food. I'm just focused on my work, right? And then on the weekend, it's like, okay, now that I don't have a scheduled people, now I can kind of relax and see what else I want to do and savor meals if I want to.
Yeah. Okay. Incredible. Well, let everybody know where they can find you. Both of you.
Probably smoothieshred.com is the best place to go.
Okay.
Yeah, smoothieshred.com has all the recipes and stuff. And if people are looking for help with health, then it's goodbyelupus.com.
And then from there, even from Smoothie Shred, there's a direct link right to goodbyelupus.com.
Okay. And the books, are they all on there too?
Yeah, and they're on Amazon. But yeah, if you look up Goodbye Lupus or Brooke Goldner on Amazon, you'll see all of that, and even his books recommended. Yeah, my books have been bestsellers since I published them. Goodbye Lupus just got knocked out of first place because of my new recipe book, Goodbye Lupus, How Delicious, took its spot. So now, and this one is still bestseller, but that's in second place now. Yeah, it's been because people have been helped by it. Like just the books alone, people have healed on them.
Because they had so much value.
Yeah,
so that's why they're doing.
This is for all the people who are like, I don't want to just drink smoothies and make it simple. I want it more complicated, but not too complicated. What I'm proud of in this book is the recipes come from either me or people who've healed in my program. And so a lot of them included their story. So as far as I know, it's the only recipe book where people who wrote the recipes all healed their diseases eating that way.
And this is all raw.
All raw.
Oh, I have to get this. That's amazing. That looks good. Wow. And this is brand new.
Yes. This was out since December.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Everybody go grab these books. These are all amazing. So life-changing. And for the smoothie, I'll put that on the screen right now. I'll put all the links down below for Dr. Brooke and Thomas. Go check them out. Go follow them. Join the program. Get the books. Do everything to live a better life. Be sure to subscribe to this channel because we create podcasts that make you live a better life. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.